Hey guys. Okay, this is my review of World War Z, which I just saw this afternoon. Now, I'm not the type of person who normally goes to see movies like opening weekend or opening night or whatever. I mean, there are movies that I get excited about that I want to see right away, but I usually wait because I like to avoid the crowds. But I don't know, something about this movie. I've read reviews, I've seen reviews on here, and by the way, shout out to Cool Duder. You are a very cool dude. I love your reviews, so I wanted to mention you on here. I saw your review, you gave it a thumbs up. And like I said, I read some reviews in, the paper online that said some pretty good things about it, so I wanted to see it. And plus the fact that Brad Pitt was in it, I mean, he's not the kind of actor you'd normally think of being in a zombie film, so I wanted to see how he did in this movie, and he did very well, just in short. Now, before I get on to my review of this movie, I wanted to talk about other zombie movies that I know and love, my favorite zombie films. The first one, of course, being the original Night of the Living Dead by George Romero, which I believe was made in 68 or 67, something like that, I believe. I should have looked it up online before I started. That is one of my favorites. And then Dawn of the Dead, which was a sequel to that. That was made in the 70s. I think that is actually my favorite zombie film. I like it even better than the original. That's the one where they're in the mall and they're kind of, hiding out there, and, then it all goes to hell at the end, of course. But I just really, really like that movie for some reason. It just really, I don't know, it just seems like the perfect zombie movie to me. And then the third one is Return of the Living Dead. I believe it was made in the 80s, and it was directed by Dan O'Bannon. And I mean, that movie that's a very, very close to, like, my favorite for Dawn of the Dead, because it's hilarious. Like, I mean, the dialogue, some of the situations, the actors in that movie are just, like, so friggin' funny, but it also has really, really, like, genuinely scary moments. So it's a really good blend of both, like, the funny, the comical, and the terrifying. So those are, saying that, those are my three favorite zombie films. Now, I've seen the Walking Dead TV series. It's, pretty good. I missed the season finale this year. My daughter watched it and told me about it. But, yeah, I generally enjoy that show. It's pretty good. But anyway, so that's my zombie background. So having said that, okay, comparing this movie to those, this movie I would not put, near the top of the list. It was good. This was a good film. But it did have its kind of flaws. Like, this movie, I found, like, the zombies in this movie move extremely fast. And I mean, it's like, you barely really get a glimpse of them because they're coming at you so fast. That's the one criticism I would have, because in these other zombie movies, they're kind of shuffling along, really kind of like, they don't really seem that threatening until they get into a pack or into a mob, and then that's where they become really dangerous. But in this movie, I mean, you'd have to be Usain Bolt on crack to outrun these zombies. There's just no way. And, like, there's so many of them, like, just like these, I mean, there were so many scenes in this movie that were just brilliant, I think, photographically, cinematography, wise, whatever, where you just see these, like, huge masses of zombies. Like, one thing I really liked about this movie is, like, there's a lot of aerial shots of all these, like, major cities, and you just, like, look down and see, like, all these, like, just these zombies just swarming around, and just coming at you and just going at the city, whatever, and then all the, explosions, all the mayhem that's going on down below. And the action in this movie starts from, like, the get-go. Like, there's the obligatory introductory scene that establishes Brad Pitt as happy family guy. He's got his wife, he's got his two adorable kids, they're making pancakes together. There's, like, this one scene, and then bingo, bango, they're in the thick of it. They're in this traffic jam in, I believe it was Philadelphia, and all this stuff starts happening, and that's when you find, like, this outbreak has occurred. And, yeah, so basically from then on, it's just, like, chaos from beginning to end, trying to outrun these things and, seek shelter and stuff like that. Basically, the only place you're safe from the zombies in this movie is if you're on some aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean, or in Israel for a while. And anyway, so Brad Pitt, okay, sorry I'm all over the place, I'm a little bit tired, I've had a long day. Got up at 6:30, did a little bit of work. Then I had to go shopping with my daughter for a grad dress. Craziness. But anyway, so Brad Pitt he used to work for the UN, doing some kind of work for them, working with, I don't know, I'm not even sure. But anyway, he worked for the UN, and he was like retired or had taken a leave or whatever. And so when this zombie pandemic breaks out, they want him to help. They want him to go in there and try to track down where this outbreak started, how the virus started, see if he can figure out, you know, what they can do about this. And at first he's like, no, forget it. I'm not leaving my family behind. But then he's told, listen, you know, you basically have to. Otherwise, we're going to kick your family off this ship that they're on. So he goes from place to place. First he goes to South Korea, then he goes to Jerusalem, then he ends up in Cardiff, Wales. He goes all over the globe trying to track this virus. And I mean, there's just like scene after scene after scene where he's getting out of sticky situation after sticky situation after sticky situation. And you know, it's really effective. It's done really well. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat. It's suspenseful. But it's like, it's kind of like sensory overload too, like just so much friggin' stuff going on. You know, all these zombies. Like one of the shots in this movie that I thought was absolutely brilliant. Like, I don't want to give anything away, and I'm not going to. But the segment where he's in Jerusalem, like okay, so Jerusalem is the only city in the world that's like safe from zombies because they've enclosed it with this wall all around the city to protect them from these zombies. And so they're the only ones that are doing well. So he goes there to try to find out, you know, like how they knew to protect themselves and all this. And then there's this one scene where all these zombies are like coming at the wall from the other side, and then they start like, you know, piling up on top of each other like friggin' ants, like just to get over this wall. And then of course they get over, and all, you know, hell breaks loose. But yeah, there were like, you know, scenes like that were just really like just, you know, just kind of, you know, breathtaking, like visually, like really, really cool. But like I said, like the problem I had with it was you didn't really, there weren't too many scenes where you got a look at the zombies, and even when you did, they didn't really, to me, look as impressive as other zombies that I've seen in other movies. They just look kind of mummified to me, you know, like not as, you know, like in a lot of the other zombie movies, like Night of the Living Dead, you know, a lot of them are missing their, you know, arms and all kinds of stuff. Like these guys just look kind of all shriveled up and everything. But you know, it was a good movie. Like I would not tell you not to go see it if you're into, you know, zombie movies and into suspense, horror, that kind of thing. I would definitely recommend that you go see it. But I would not say that this is the best zombie film I've ever seen. Now, one thing I have to say about Brad Pitt is he's never been one of my favorite actors, but you know, I cannot figure it out. But every time I see a Brad Pitt movie, I end up liking it. He's a really freaking good actor, you know? And I think a lot of the time I underestimate him because he's like a pretty boy. He's a really good-looking guy. And, but, you know, he might be a really good-looking guy, but he's also a really good actor. He can carry a film, this guy, and he definitely does it in this. He's really, really good. Very likable character, you know, you're rooting for him. And there's like scene after scene in this movie that's just really, really great. There's another scene on a plane that's really good. I won't tell you what happens, and I won't tell you how it ends either. You have to go see it. But yeah, I would definitely recommend World War Z. It was very, very good. Yeah, I would say the only critique really I have of this film is I think maybe they focus too much on the kind of wow factor, like the visual wow factor, rather than, you know, focusing on, and there's too much going on, like him going all over the globe, going from place to place. It's a 2-hour movie. I believe it's an hour and 56 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, it's a good length for, you know, a movie like this. But they just kind of packed too much in. I think they could have cut a little here and there, and, you know, the story, you know, the movie would have been just as effective. But I mean, there was just like, you know, chaos. And there are 3 words I can use to sum up this movie, and that would be zombie tidal wave. And when you go see this movie, you'll know what I mean. So yeah, I would give this movie, out of 5 stars, I would give it 3.5. So yeah, I would definitely recommend World War Z. Not the best zombie movie I've ever seen, but definitely a good, entertaining ride. So I would recommend. Okay, thanks for watching, you guys. See you later.